There's something you were never told, and once you hear it, you won't unhear it. You were never that mysterious. Not to the few who truly watched, not to the ones who listened past the words. They already noticed the shift in your voice when the truth felt unsafe, the way the laugh got louder when invisibility stung, the way empty spaces made you speak just to avoid being seen. Someone read you once, not with guesses, but with attention. They saw the parts you've tried to regulate, to hide, to correct. And you didn't notice because being seen at depth is never dramatic. It's quiet. It's careful. It's clinical. The sharpest readers don't broadcast their insights. They catalog them, then act accordingly. This isn't about parlor tricks or decoding cliches. It's a deeper lens. Reading where the truth leaks, in pauses and contradictions, in tone beneath the tone. It's not manipulation, it's precision. And by the end, the unsettling realization emerges. Others have been reading you all along. This isn't the dawn of clarity. It's the end of camouflage. Most people assume they're hard to decode. They wear certainty like armor, speak in polished scripts, and curate identities that look consistent enough to pass. Not because they're false, but because realness once carried cost. The tougher truth, most speech isn't an altar to honesty, it's a negotiation for safety. Language wasn't forged to reveal essence. It evolved to belong, to deflect, to survive. So what you hear is seldom a soul. It's a mask negotiating acceptance. Trusting words is the easiest mistake. The tells sit elsewhere. Tension reveals pressure points. Silence exposes forbidden rooms. Misalignment between content and delivery is a flare. The insight that changes the room is this one. Truth lives in what's avoided, in what's edited out. In the subject someone never enters without humor, aggression, or vagueness as a shield. Once you adopt that frame, faces become transparent. The non-stop talker fears stillness. The compulsive perfectionist wrestles inner disorder. The harsh judge projects disowned traits. People aren't puzzles, they're programs. Programs written by fear, repetition, and early training. Personality is yesterday's survival strategy, calcified. And once you see the pattern, the sting fades. Arrogance becomes insecurity wearing height. Rejection becomes self-protection misfiring outward. The pain that felt personal becomes context. You don't need a license to notice this. You only need to stop treating words like evidence and start treating behavior like data. People leak whether they intend to or not. Every profound spirit wears a covering. Not performance as fraud, but performance as armor. We learn it young. Cry too loudly and you're too sensitive. Ask too many questions and you're difficult. Shine unabashedly and you're full of yourself. So we sand the edges. We become digestible. Then we rename it personality to sleep at night. Deeper people carry thicker coverings, not because they love acting, but because their unfiltered presence once felt dangerous. To others, to themselves, to attachments they needed to keep. Yet coverings crack. They betray themselves through physiology. Shoulders locked, hands restless, smiles a beat too bright. Through sound, voices over-rehearsed, laughter hollowed out. Through avoidance, topic changes when it cuts too close. Humor where grief should be. Intellect where tenderness might be. Identity at this level isn't what someone declares. It's the friction points their declarations can't cross without glitches. I'm fine, with a clenched jaw. I don't care with a darting gaze. I'm easygoing with constant correction. That's not villainy, that's the mask splitting. When you stop buying masks, you don't only read others better, you catch your own. You see how you earned safety, how you built a persona that could hold the room, get love, avoid shame. Clarity begins there. Not when you master the tells in others, but when you recognize you trained yourself to perform too. Real reading isn't mysticism, it's discipline. It's noticing small, repeating signals across contexts. Tone lifts slightly before a compliant yes. Words speed up when doubt rises. The confident posture collapses for a second when the unspeakable lands. Then the contradictions. I'm chill while policing everything. Status doesn't matter while name-dropping. I'm independent while begging to be chosen. Finally, timing. delayed answers on personal subjects, filler where sincerity should stand, abrupt pivots when the spotlight gets intimate. None of these are random flaws. They're fault lines, thin places where the performance thins and the person edges through. The best readers don't chase dramatic tells. They notice what's off. They're less impressed by content than by cadence, not fixated on detail, but on signature. The emotional fingerprint someone leaves without knowing. Clarity is pattern recognition. It is choosing stillness long enough to see what is usually drowned by your own nervous talking. Train this and chaos organizes. Surprises shrink. Glass appears where masks used to be. These insights can cut, so hold them with care. The goal isn't dominance, it's disarming delusion. The first cut: everyone wears protection. What you meet is a survivor, not a villain. The louder the certainty, the more precarious the core. The second cut: condemnation is a mirror. What someone can't stand in you is often what they repress in themselves. The third cut: silence carries confession. The fourth: self-deception is the first lie. All others follow. The fifth: constant criticism is autobiography with other people's names. The sixth: pageantry often hides guilt or shame. The seventh: extremity in claims signals fear, not truth. The eighth: control mania hides internal chaos. The ninth: loud virtue often disguises hierarchy. The 10th: people aren't terrified of pain as much as exposure. Vulnerability threatens the self they've sold. Keep this question ready. What is this behavior protecting? Ask it gently, and patterns start confessing. Keep this stance ready. Observe before interpreting. When you do, the world gets quieter. The reader isn't colder, just steadier. The door to part 2 opens, when personas begin to fracture and truth seeps through the seams. There is a moment skilled readers wait for, and it never arrives with noise. It arrives as a flicker. A belief gets nudged and the voice drops half a note. A joke appears where a truth should stand. A quick topic switch seals a hole too fast that isn't clumsiness as a system guarding its core story. The frame that unlocks this level is simple. Most behavior is fear-managed, not weakness-design. Fear of being left humiliated, reduced to background, or forced to face grief track. The fear in the behavior becomes legible. Start with the micro-signals, the small hesitation before agreeing to something that grates against identity. The second retelling of a safe anecdote to delay intimacy. The urge to fill silence when a personal subject nears the person who dominates once lived. Unheard, the one who fades when feelings arrive. Learned invisibility protects the over-explainerism. Haughty arrogant, they are re-arguing with an old verdict that says you were not enough. These aren't quirks, they are old solutions replayed in new rooms. Contradiction exposes the seam. I am chill paired with constant correction status means nothing beside persistent name-dropping. I don't need anyone while rehearsing how to be chosen. Extremes reveal insecurity. Always, never, everyone, no one. The tighter the language, the more fragile the interior grounded people can say. Sometimes then the moral megaphone loud virtue is often superiority in costume. Real integrity moves quietly, loud goodness. Is negotiation see me as safe so I can belong? Remember judgment maps, the judge as history, recurring shaming. Is someone managing an unacceptable impulse? By punishing it in others, projection is an insult. It is a compass. Now control micromanagement rarely equals strength. It is a nervous system building fences around an inner storm. When a person tightens rules, calendars, and people they aren't, and proving power. They are preventing collapse. Watch what unfolds when small control is lost. A plan changes a detail. Slips over reaction reveals the size of the unprocessed fear. Beneath performance is the era's language many don't know. They are acting. They learned the role that kept shame at bay and never stepped out of costume. The strong one, the unbothered one, the healer, the hyper-competent spiritual one, the always in command. 1. These identities are clever. They made love reachable, but they don't metabolize pain, they hide it yet. Truth leaks in the breath that catches in the laugh, a beat too bright in the apology that overcompensates in the pause before. I don't know the real person surfaces in millimeters, not speeches. 12 field-tested rules restated for precision. Composure often masks guilt. Over-prepared certainty can be penance in disguise. Exaggeration amplifies doubt. The louder the claim, the softer the belief underneath. Control lust signals inner disorder. The stricter the shell, the shakier the center. Loud morality can hide quiet ranking. Integrity doesn't audition. Exposure, not pain, is the deeper dread. Vulnerability threatens a carefully sold self. Overdefense equals overdoubt. Long explanations are self-persuasion. Attention chasing covers a fear of erasure. Noise says, "Don't let me vanish." Envy dresses up as disdain. Attack often means, "I want that but forbid it in myself." Logic often clothes grief. Beliefs justify wounds. Trace the wound, not the rhetoric. Childhood persists. The ignored become interrupters. The punished become stoic. The conditionally loved become performers. Biography predicts behavior. Rigidity reveals fragility. Dogma is fear on a loudspeaker. Lone wolf posturing often conceals exhausted hope. Isolation can be disappointment fatigue, not strength. Reading well means refusing bait. Dante wrestled the costume look for the wound. The costume guards ask privately if this isn't tea about me. What is it protecting in them? Reactivity drops. Clarity doesn't crown anyone, it steadies you. Rejection stops feeling like a verdict and reads like a reflex drama. Stops being danger and registers as dysregulation. Loud confidence stops seducing it. Scans as armor over fear. Adopt the stance, observe. First label, later act, last with practice. Empathy becomes accuracy. Not performance, not I condone, but I see the system you built to endure precision. Dissolves manipulation without dissolving boundaries, which opens the next gate. What to do when masks fracture and truth breaches the surface and steadiness gets tested. There's a quiet threshold that changes how you relate to people. You murmur mid-conversation, and what once spiked your nervous system no longer sends you into defense. You notice cadence instead of content, pacing instead of posture, the over-explaining, the shine on practiced confidence, the silence that grows too loud. And then the recognition lands. This isn't tea about you. It never was the frost. The swagger, the cling stop hooking you because you were seeing armor, not attack, survival methods, not malice. From there, something irreversible unfolds. Empathy stops performing and becomes grief. Literate. Not I understand as a pose, but a grounded knowing of how difficult it is to be human. You start to detect guilt beneath boasting, fear under control, sadness inside shutdown. You stop debating with masks and begin acknowledging the wound that built them. The shift isn't to softness, it is sanity. The deeper danger was never only that people lie to you, it is that they believe their performance and invite you to live inside it. Most conflicts are auditions for roles in an old scene. If you don't notice, you accept the part. If you do, you step out quietly without turning it into theater. This reframes everything. Rejection loses its crown. It is rarely a verdict, it is a reflex of a nervous system trying not to fall apart. Conflict becomes information, not apocalypse. Loud confidence loses its spell. Volume isn't strength, it is a shielding. Instead of reacting to the emotion, you read the conditions, the ecology that produced it. Clarity ends confusion. The inner question changes from, why are they doing this to me, to what pain is this protecting in them. Anger drains when you stop prosecuting reality for following its blueprint. You stop making other people's unhealed patterns your responsibility. You do not turn cold, you become steady, awake to how behavior is architected, awake to patterns underneath persona, awake to a sobering truth. Most people aren't dangerous, they are afraid of not being chosen, not being seen, not being enough. Seeing this doesn't excuse harm, it prevents you from personalizing harm. Boundaries sharpen when blame clarifies, the paradox appears. The clearer you see others, the less you need to defend yourself. Understanding dissolves the urge to perform. Precision replaces proof the more accurately you notice. The less you argue. Accuracy quiets adrenaline. Anchor that clarity with simple practices. Pattern before story. Notice what repeats across settings. Once is noise 3 times. Is a map repetition? Is confession slow? The yes. Pause long enough to feel micro hesitation in you and spot it in others. Hesitation is the soul pressing the brakes. Honor it. Ask the protector question. What is this behavior? Trying to keep me from feeling, seeing, or risking, apply it to others and to yourself. Answer plainly without theatrics. These moves keep perception clean without breeding cynicism. They don't soften standards, they remove illusions. Reframe the core truths into lenses for the room. What looks like ego often hides a fear of erasure. What feels like rejection frequently masks self-protection. What reads as coldness is often a nervous system going offline. What presents as dominance is usually a child who equates control with safety. What seems like emptiness can be grief that never got permission to speak when pressure accumulates. Loss, time, responsibility, performances fracture you. I'll catch the involuntary sigh, the pause that lasts a beat too long, the eyes that fog before the sentence ends, the breath held like a dam. Those are not glitches. They are the self-surfacing in a world that rewards costumes. Treat these moments as sacred. You're not exposing someone, you were witnessing someone almost home. If you've been misread before, silence mistaken for distant, strength mislabeled as arrogance, softness dismissed as weakness. This is why people in masks can't recognize faces, they respond to costumes, including their own. The remedy isn't to becoming unreadable. It is becoming integrated enough that being seen doesn't threaten you power. Isn't opacity power, is transparency that still gets chosen. Being fully seen and still selected is the highest strength. You were never invisible. The attentive always knew the difference. Now is that you know, too read with discipline, not ego, see with compassion, not naivety. And when uncertainty rises, return to the only instrument that doesn't ally attention, not to catch people, to free yourself, because when you stop mistaking theater for reality, manipulation starves, resentment thins, and your energy returns to choosing instead of chasing. The patterns were never hidden. They were always there, waiting for someone patient enough to look.